Our body is the temple to the Most High God. The Holy Spirit dwells within us. So he wants us to keep our temple clean. So this is another commandment that a lot of our brothers and sisters break. Read.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God.
So know ye not that ye are the temple of God. Read.
And that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy.
So what are the ways that you can defile your temple? Because he said, if any man continues defiling the temple of God, him shall God destroy. What are some of the ways that we defile our temple?
Putting the wrong things in our body.
Right, that's one way. What else?
The wrong thoughts, the wrong actions.
You just said it.
Smoking, drugs.
Smoking, right, smoking.
Sexual shit too.
So those are the things. So like cigarettes, right? What happens when people end up smoking those over a long period of time? You usually end up getting some type of cancer, right? That's judgment from the Most High. Because those are the things that the Most High God said not to do. Marijuana, guess what? I know they legalized it in a lot of places, but that's still defiling your temple.
Right.
Because once you
eat it.
Huh?
What if you eat it?
Well, if you eat it, still not supposed to be for consumption either. Because the THC in marijuana disturbs your, it changes your state. It changes your mental.
Hey, it's crazy because I was looking at that. They say it's illegal because they give you psychoactive.
The psycho, right?
Like
the THC
beer and liquor. I forgot how to. But go ahead.
Once you activate the THC, when you ingest it, then
it'll make you want
to.
And not want to do, but it want to be.
What else you got on that?
I can't explain it. Weed is illegal.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 17. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are.
Y'all hear that, brothers? He said the temple of God is holy, which thing you are. So we got to understand, bro. Holy means separate. Because like I said, the Most High God is only dealing with us. Get Deuteronomy 7 verse 6.
Deuteronomy.
Now, are we all, if you compare the so-called black man to all the other nations, are we equal?
No.
Like in terms of abilities, like is every man equal? Every man created equal, or no? What do you think the Most High said?
I think we the strongest, fastest.
Yeah, we're dominant.
We the strongest, fastest, smartest thing on
We're dominant in mostly everything.
What y'all say? What y'all say about that? Because y'all know that traffic light behind you was invented by a so-called black man here in Cleveland, Garrett Morgan. We've invented damn near everything here that has been used by the other nations, and the Most High God even says that to confirm and back that up. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So the Most High God said that we are holy unto him. We are holy, meaning separate from the other nations. Read.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So he said, you are a special people unto me. Read.
Above.
No, below.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So just like my brother was saying, stronger, faster, smarter, invented everything, better cooks. We are above all people upon the face of the earth. So even though we're at the bottom because of our conditions, you can see the greatness that the Most High God put within us. Now even at the bottom, but now we got to activate that greatness by keeping God's laws. That's how you get back into God's graces and get back on top as the leading nation, the nation of Israel. Now, any of y'all married? Any of y'all brothers married? Anybody married? You married, bro? Anybody married? All right.
I've been with the same woman for 7 years.
but you ain't married. But he ain't married, bro. No. Look.
Who made the marriage law? Who made that?
Good question.
So we're going to show you. That's a good question.
Great question.
But listen. So all y'all dealing with a woman right now, right?
Yeah.
Everybody dealing with a woman. Okay. So get Hebrews first. So we're going to show you. So this is another reason, man. This is another reason why we suffer. We dealing with women, but we ain't marrying them. We ain't marrying. The so-called black community has the lowest marriage rates in the nation. And then when we do get married, we end up getting divorced because we didn't go through the process properly. Read that.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all.
So the Most High God said marriage is honorable, not somebody, not a sex buddy, not somebody that you just got living with you that you've been dealing with sexually, but you ain't take the time to actually get married. He said marriage is honorable. Read.
And the bed undefiled.
So the bed is undefiled. When you are married in the eyes of the Most High God, whatever y'all do is y'all business in the bedroom. Read.
But whoremongers.
But whoremongers. Whoremonger is brothers like us go around from woman to woman, not marrying a sister. That's a whoremonger according to the Most High. Read.
And adulterers. God will judge.
So there's a judgment for that. So that judgment could come in many different forms. It could come in diseases. It could come in financial trouble. You end up paying for 2, 3, 4 kids for 18 years. It end up you in alimony. End up you in the white man's court system, dividing half of your assets. Believe me, I know.
Yes, I do.
We know about all this
By
stuff.
experience.
Right, so that's why the Most High God honors marriage. Anything else on that? All right, now give me the law on Tobit about paper. You got it? Go ahead.
The book of Tobit, chapter 7 and verse 14.
Now we're going to answer your question because you said you've been dealing with a sister for how long? 7 years.
Film blast.
All right. This is what we got to do. This is how we uplift our community. So read that.
Bring it out.
And called Edna his wife, and took paper.
And took what?
And took paper.
So we took paper. This is our custom. We ain't talking about the so-called white man. The Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, we had a custom of taking paper
And did write an instrument of covenants.
and then we took that paper and we wrote an instrument of covenants. That means that's an agreement. That means that's a marriage license. So we're the ones who came up with that.
Right.
It wasn't the enemy that came up with that. We came up with the marriage license.
Bring it
We
out.
took an instrument of covenant. Because everything that we write down, we made sure we kept records of.
Right.
Read.
And sealed it.
And sealed it.
And sealed it. They put a seal on it. Just like today when you go to the courtroom. Once you got that document officially signed, a notary stamps it. So we already did that. This was thousands of years ago.
Right.
This is our custom. Read. Anything else on that? Okay. So marriage is honorable. So if you're dealing with a sister, what they call so-called common law marriage, just because y'all been living with each other 10, 15, 20 years, you're still not married under the eyes of the Most High God. Get that Exodus 21. Because this is what the law says about that. Now I'm going to ask y'all, how many, after I read this, I'm going to ask y'all, how many wives should you have had? You know what I want. 22, 16.
Should you have had?
Yep.
That's interesting.
No, but when I say that, I mean, who should you have married first? Because I'm sure you, like I said, everybody here said they're dealing with a woman. Read.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 16. And if a man entice a maid,
So if a man entice a maid, you game a maid, you get a woman and you get her to agree to lay down what you read,
that is not betrothed,
and she's not married, you didn't marry her, read.
and lie with her,
Have sex with her.
he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
So that's the law. So think of how we could clean up the black community by just keeping that one law. Because think about it, the most precious thing that we own is what? Our seed.
Right.
Why give your seed to any random chick? Why give your seed to anybody? Do they deserve your seed? Your seed is what's going to produce your next generation.
Right.
So why don't we just randomly give that away in the black community?
Right.
So if we kept that law and made sure that the woman that we laid with is the woman that we say, all right, this is going to be the mother of my children, I'm going to make her my wife, then we would solve a lot of problems overnight just by keeping that law. That's the most precious thing you own, is the seed that the Most High God gave you. Because out of that seed came kings. King David's seed brought forth King Solomon. We had Hezekiah. We had all the great kings of Judah, which we descend from. Why give that away to a random broad?
Right.
Read that again.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 16. If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed,
Right.
and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
So those are the type of things that we're not being taught. That's why we back out here. That's why you're seeing the real prophets of God teaching God's word, thus saith the Lord. And they don't teach us that in the Christian church. Hell, half the time in the Christian church, you got homosexuals in the choir. You got, the pastor sleeping with 2 or 3 women on the front row, not keeping law number 1, but then trying to judge you. That's not righteous judgment. Remember what we said earlier, you can't be a hypocrite when you judge. I can't tell a brother, hey man, you ain't keeping the Sabbath if I don't keep the Sabbath myself, right? We can't be hypocrites when we judge each other. As long as we do thus saith the Lord, that's how we bring the community back up. All right? Now, Judah, we talked about Judah. This is the head tribe of the nation of Israel. So was your dad so-called American black?
My dad?
Yeah, your dad, your father.
So-called American black?
What we call so-called black because America,
So-called, yeah.
Yeah, because America, this land was not named after us.
That's right.
Amerigo Vespucci was a so-called white man, so none of us descend from white men, so that's why I said so-called. But this is what they call us here in captivity. But would your father been black American?
Yeah.
All right, so that make you Judah. So guess what? Those people over in Israel today, the Most High God said they're imposters. We the real Jews the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
Y'all familiar with Kanye West, Kyrie Irving? Y'all understand why they lost their deals with Adidas?
Because they accepted their own. And they started speaking out on it.
Right, but the main reason was because they were bringing out this information that they understood that they are the Jews according to the Most High God.
Right, we are the original Jews.
All the brother did was share a link to a movie called Hebrews to Negroes, and then all hell broke loose. Read that in Revelation. All praise.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation.
So this is Christ speaking. He said, I know your works. He's talking about the real Jews. I know your works and tribulation. Because aren't we in tribulation today? You got bills today that I'm sure you want somebody to relieve you of, right? What about you, brother? You could probably use a helping hand or two. I know I could. So Christ said that he know our works and our tribulation, read.
And poverty.
Right.
But thou art rich.
We're rich because, as we read earlier in Psalms 147, the commandments were only given to us. That's what makes us rich, because we got a chance to get the kingdom. Read.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews.
Now, what's blasphemy? Christ said, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews.
But they are not.
Read.
And are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
But are the synagogue or chief house of Satan, the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
So that's why the Most High God called them that. They are in our own land and took our heritage and nationality. We got to realize that we are the Jews. We're God's chosen people. So there's something required of us. How you doing, sis? Good. How y'all doing? What we going over today with the brothers and sisters? Y'all got a second? Okay, so we going over our information about what makes us God's chosen people. Because how did we get over here? How did a lot of our people arrive here in this land, so-called America?
Slave trade.
Right.
Also, some people already over here.
Correct. There were some people here already, and then others came over. Right. Now we talked about the laws on marriage. What other? Let me give you another law. Give me the beard. Give me the beard. Because how do you? Let me ask you. Y'all familiar with some of the animals? How do you distinguish a lion from the other big cats?
From his mane.
Right, his mane, and they call the lion
Judah.
the blink of the jungle. No, what is it? Oh, fill in the blank. The lion is the
King of the jungle.
right. So we kings too, right? So this is what the Most High God says about you and your mane. Read.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 27. Ye shall not round the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
So you shall not round the corners of your head, meaning that making our heads bald, because that was a custom that came from ancient Egypt. And our people, guess what? We were in captivity in ancient Egypt. This here is in America, but we were also the ones who helped build the pyramids and build up ancient Egypt, the Hebrews, right?
Can I build real quick?
Yep, real quick, and finish the rest of that. Read that again.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 27. Ye shall not round the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
Marring the corner of your beard, meaning cutting into your natural line and destroying your beard. A lot of times they tell you at the job, we want you to be clean shaven, or we want you to have a chin strap, or just a little goatee. But the Most High God said, no, grow your beard out. Because Christ, the black Messiah for the nation of Israel, gave us an example to follow. And all the great men of the Bible, which were also called black men, they all had full beards. The Lion of Judah, like you said, King of the jungle. Read.
When we were taken into captivity
Uh-huh.
in Egypt, what year was it?
Captivity in Egypt, that would have been the time frame probably about during the time of Ramses II, about 1800 BC, so called.
Those wasn't the real. Those wasn't our brothers that enslaved us.
No, that was not, because a lot of times what they try to do, they try to but what they'll try to do is tell you that blacks sold blacks into slavery, meaning that why you mad at us because y'all sold each other, but that ain't the same. We were two separate nations. Exodus 11:7. We were two separate nations. We're not the same as the Hamite, the so-called African.
They black though, right?
They got skin color that look like us, but we're not. They're not our brother. No sir. No sir. Read. Well, I'm going to show you. Read that.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7.
Check this out.
But against any of the children of Israel.
So against any of the children of Israel, we're talking about the 12 tribes. Read.
Shall not a dog move his tongue.
So the Most High God had called the other nations dogs, said, none of y'all can speak against my chosen people. Read.
Against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference.
He said the Lord had put a difference or separation. Read.
Between the Egyptians.
Between the Egyptians, those Hamites, Ramses, Pharaohs, all those people that were in rulership thousands of years ago. Read.
And Israel.
And Israel. So the Most High God had always had a difference or a distinction between his 12 tribes and the other nations. Somebody got a Zondervan, we can bring it out more. But just like when you see a so-called Chinese man and a Japanese, if you call that Japanese man Chinese, he get offended.
Yep.
But to us, they look the same.
Yep.
But they two separate nations.
Right.
They two separate nations. Just like so-called Egyptians, they originate from the Sudanese and the Watusi. Those are two different Hamitic tribes that made up the ancient Egyptians. Ethiopians, or what we call Cushites, that's their original name. Guess what? We're not the same people. Now, some of our people intermingled with them, but as far as the seed line, the pure seed line, we are separate from those other nations.
So where we originated was you talking about like we're in it's like Saudi Arabia area, like right east of Egypt. That's where did we?
That region east of Egypt, right? That all because there wasn't no such thing as the Middle East. All that was on the so-called continent of Africa.
All life started
in the east. All life started to get the homeland first, and then where you going?
How we brethren with Hispanics, but we not brethren with Africans?
So, show you what you got. I'm gonna show you.
Split us up.
Yep. First, I'm gonna show you the homeland. Read.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 4 and verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
So Jerusalem, which is above, is free. Read, because Jerusalem, remember the children of Israel walked from Jerusalem into Egypt. So in order to walk, that means what? The two land masses are close to each other. They're on the same continent. Read.
Which is the mother of us all.
Which is the mother of us all. So that's the motherland, Jerusalem. That's in with the continent we call Africa. Israel is in Africa. So yes, that's the region where we come from. And then we migrated further into the continent. All right? But Most High God still created all the other nations separate. All the nations that he made all had melanin in their skin until the so-called white man came. But they were still separate nations. Give me that Deuteronomy, I believe it's 32, where he separated the sons of Adam.
How did the white man originate?
We'll show you that too. But what we want to do is show you that there's always been a separation, always been a...
You know about that, huh?
Nah, that's Islam rhetoric. The Bible really show you how he came about. You got that?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 8.
Let's check it out, bro.
When the Most High divided the nations.
When the Most High divided to the nations, read.
Their inheritance. When he separated the sons of Adam.
Now he separated the sons of Adam, right? Everybody come from Adam, but the Most High God separated the seed line of Adam. Read.
He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So when the Most High, read that first part again, the first sentence.
When the Most High divided the nation to the nations their inheritance.
So when the Most High divided the nation, he gave each nation their inheritance. He said, you Egyptians, this is where your land is going to be. Ethiopians over here, Israelites over here. All the nations got divided. So that happened from the beginning. Genesis, Adam and the seed lines were separated. So yes, like I said, gave you the example of the Korean, the Japanese, the Chinese. We all separate nations. Yeah.
Why you think the Most High would separate us? Good question.
Why would he separate us?
Why?
How y'all doing, brothers?
That's Jesus.
Read on.
Verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
So the Most High God separated the nations because he wanted Jacob. He gave a promise to Abraham. Abraham was his servant. Abraham was promised to have the land of Israel and that his seed would inherit the land and become a great nation. And he gave that promise to Abraham, passed it down to Isaac and Jacob. So that promise was already set in motion. That's why the Most High God separated us from all the other nations.
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is